I wanted to start, Daniel, with this energy report. I just got it from one of our biggest investors and someone who's a very, very good friend, and very, very good friend of mine, a mentor. And I didn't even thank him for the report yet and he doesn't even mind because we're so busy all the time. And he's like, don't ever apologize. I know how busy you are. But I just took the report and said, let me talk about it. It's from Barclays. And we talk about AI and power and utilities, and that's the easiest way to play it, right? So, because you look at different companies are going to have different impacts when it comes to AI. Salesforce is a good example of that. They're like, half of our business now AI, but your other half of your business is, I don't want to say useless, but that's why Salesforce has been one of the worst performing stocks this year, right? If you're looking year to date, it impacts certain companies, it impacts stuff like negative, and others are using it positively. Like, you saw Microsoft, why are they laying off 3-4% of their workforce? Because they've seen their productivity gains, right? You don't see companies near their all-time highs or at its all-time high right now at pretty close to a $4 trillion valuation when you look at Microsoft, and they're laying off almost 4% of their workforce. You don't see that. That's their return on investment. That's the ROI where they're seeing we're investing 60, 70, $80 billion in hyperscale and data centers and AI and stuff. It's just an incredible trend. But when you're looking at power, I've really dug in because I'm just fascinated. I didn't know that much about power. I didn't even know gigawatts and kilowatts and megawatts and stuff like that. Again, this is like, probably about a year ago. I just really started digging in and saying, okay, I'm trying to understand how we're going to get this electricity. And people and the models I'm looking at are not factoring in how much electricity we're going to need. Barclays came out with a report this week, and it's under the radar because it's Barclays. It's not Goldman Sachs. It's not JP Morgan. It's not Morgan Stanley. It's Barclays. And they came out with a report. And Google, actually, this is public information for Google. They show their energy usage. And I want to show this. Dan, listen to some of these stats. Google's 2025. So this is a report that the sustainability report discloses 27% year over year higher when it comes to electricity usage, so over 2024. 27% growth. I want you to think about energy because when you look at energy, we had pretty much flat, almost no growth for decades when it came to electricity usage. Why? Because we found, ways that we could use solar. And again, you could say electricity usage itself hasn't gone up as much because we're using different forms, if it's cheap, whatever, but it's kind of been sustained for a while before this AI really started kicking in. This shows you that everyone knows, okay, AI, the usage is going up and up and up. It's not just about the usage going up. It's increasing dramatically, okay? It's increasing more where you see like percentage-wise, it shouldn't be increasing percentage-wise because percentage-wise, you're going to increase and grow just like GDP growth, but that number, constantly goes up and up and up, but it's the percentage usually slows. The percentages are going higher. You're looking at 27% growth year over year, and this company measures this. And when I look at this report, it shows this follows Microsoft reporting a 27% year over year increase as well. And when they go down to this chart, it's interesting because they say hyperscaler global electricity usage. And it has this chart, Daniel, from 2017 to 2024, and it shows this usage where it's going up 25. This is the hyperscaler global electricity use. It's going up 25% annually. This is the three that they're monitoring, Dan. So it's got Google, Microsoft, and Meta that they're looking at. This is showing the growth year over year. It's already topped the growth that was expected. But however, they didn't get Meta's numbers yet. Meta didn't report. So if you report Meta and go on the same scale of like 25% growth for them, the growth that we're seeing is astronomical. And remember, the new chips and liquid cooling is using much, much more energy. They would say, well, it's using less energy. When you put into rack system, it's 7-8 times usage. That's higher usage. And they're increasing this across the board. I don't know how. There's a reason why when you look at Oklo, when you look at SMR, that these companies, the valuations that these companies have, and I have this down right here, Daniel. If you're looking at Oklo has an $8 billion valuation, zero revenue. Nuclear power scale SMR has a $10 billion valuation, is trading more than 20 times sales. Why are they trading on these crazy valuations is because there's a dire need for energy. And this is energy that is not scalable yet. This is energy that has not been proven yet. This is energy that's still 3, 4, 5 years away from coming to fruition, right? And you're seeing companies sign up to this daily generating revenue, these companies, and they're not going to generate revenue for the next few years. And they're trading at not just $1 billion valuation, $7 billion, $9 billion valuations because of electricity usage. And when I saw this report and I'm filtering down, this is why I wanted to share it with you. And I love sharing stuff that you're not going to hear anyplace else because there's a really good play on this. And you know what the play on this is? I'll give you a million guesses, Daniel. You won't even guess it. Water. The amount of water that's being used to power this is incredible. And there's a reason behind this. I'm going to show it to you. So they're saying surging water usage for evaporative cooling, right? This is certain cooling that Google uses. And the amount of water that they're using, they show over here. You might be like, oh, well, it's not a big deal. It is a very big deal. It says Google's water withdrawal. And when they say water withdrawal, so there's water withdrawal and then consumption. It's two different things. When they say water withdrawal means water taken from the ground to the surface. It's not like you're withdrawing water. It sounds like a negative. No, it's water usage. It says Google's water withdrawal and consumption increased 28% and 27% year over year, which amounts to 11 billion gallons and 8 billion gallons of water, respectively. It says consumption, just from Google, Dan, consumption equivalent to the water irrigation needs of 54 golf courses annually in southwestern U.S. That is just Google. That is just Google, okay? Let's throw in everybody else. Okay, let's throw in what they're talking about here when you look at Meta and Microsoft. What about Oracle, Alibaba, Amazon, IBM, Tencent, CoreWeave, American Tower, Equinix? The amount of water usage, and Google uses this technology more than anybody, where are they getting the water? Where are they getting electricity from? I still have no idea, because it's based on models that the power chips that NVIDIA has right now and AMD has are going to stay constant, and they're not, because we're going from this large language model to inference, and it's powering even more and more and more and more and more as these guys compete and go faster. So they're not accounting for the new generation chips that you can't see right now that are going to require much more energy, even though you have Jensen Huang saying it's going to require much less electricity. It's not requiring less electricity, okay? There's no way you're going to have 10 times more power and much less electricity usage. It's almost impossible, right? So when I look at being positioned where we are, where, Dale and the recommendation of Vertev and being in, DGXX is another one. It's now over $3. It's a name that we love, that we gave you guys at under $1. Most people in a portfolio was a little bit higher. You got to get into utilities, power. And now for me, I'm going to look at what are the best water plays here. Don't just buy regular water plays. I'm just starting my research because I didn't know how much water usage is. I didn't know. I mean, and again, I'm showing the report here. I'm showing this line right here. If you guys watch this on YouTube, I mean, you're looking at the equivalent, right? Google's water withdrawal consumption is the equivalent of the water irrigation needs of 54 golf courses annually Southwest U.S. I don't know if you know that. Daniel and I golf all the time.
We don't.
Well, we have golf courses over here. I'm going to be golfing all the time because finally my course is going to be open. State-of-the-art course built by Jim Furyk. It was great. I was just hitting golf balls next to Daniel Murphy. If you know who Daniel Murphy is, Mets, one of the best hitters in Mets history. Unbelievable. Just it's incredible the amount of water that these courses use, and it's 54 of them. This is just one company for Google when it comes to water usage, and then you have the electricity usage. So instead of trying to figure out which companies are going to really benefit from AI, which is what we do in our AI newsletter, and we're doing fantastic in terms of performance in that newsletter, picking the right stocks, there's this whole other benefit, and that's what you want to look at. Who else is going to benefit? No one's really talking about water companies. Let's take a look at water companies that have operations that are pretty close to where Google's prime areas of those hyperscalers of the data centers that they're building. Not hyperscales in general, but they're hyperscale. But the data centers that they're building, what are the water companies near those? That's the research that I'm going to look at to see. And I have access to a lot of these reports of publicly traded water companies. I want to see if they're seeing, their numbers go up tremendously and their usage numbers go up tremendously, because as they do, it's not just the water usage, just like electricity usage, you're able to increase prices dramatically for companies that have tens of billions of dollars to burn and without blinking an eye. And that's where you want to be in this industry. It's why all the chip makers that are involved in AI are just through the roof. You even got the Dells, the Supermicros, the Broadcoms, they're all through the roof because what they're providing and their service they're providing it to people who have just, their pockets just run incredibly deep. And that's what you want. You want to service the companies that have the most money to spend. That's the hyperscalers. Now you have the chip makers. Now you have the utilities that are benefiting. It's time to start looking at the water companies. That's something you're not really going to hear a lot of places because I haven't heard. If you have, send me research on it. I'm even going to start inquiring that with the guys that I know, within the data center industry who are, building a lot of data centers for some of these top hyperscalers. But this is incredible. I didn't know it was that much water usage and just the electricity use. Another report showing how it's increasing dramatically, and the models are showing that, hey, we're going to be using electricity, but it's not going to increase that much. It's going to increase much more than anyone thinks. I still have no freaking idea how they're going to get this much energy, how we're going to power this stuff. Past 3-4 years, I have no idea how it's going to happen, but it's probably the reason why you're seeing companies like SMR trading at 25 times sales, Aqua trading at 8 billion times sales because they don't generate sales. And it's an $8 billion valuation, which is pretty incredible. That's why they have the valuations. That's the dire need of electricity for some of these hyperscalers. And they're going to pay a fortune for it going forward, especially over the next 4 or 5 years until we find other alternatives.
Water will definitely be a great trend to play. And that's one of the reasons I recommended Texas Pacific Land, which we're down in CRA. But not only do you need a lot of water for what Frank just talked about, but you also need it for fracking and oil and gas. And that is just going to be tremendous. And I'm not talking to all the greenies about we're running out of water and you can't build and all that BS. that ship has sailed. Definitely get into the water and stay tuned for more on that.
I think you'll really love Wall Street Unplugged Premium. The Wall Street Unplugged Premium is my members-only podcast where I dive even deeper into this week's events. I'll tell you specifically what moves you can make today, specific investment ideas I'm recommending and tracking each week, also the news we're picking up from our network of insiders. And becoming a member is super simple and super cheap. So head on over to WSUoffer.com to check it all out. Sign up today and you won't miss a thing. That's WSUoffer.com.